New Orleans, Louisiana has rolled out the welcome mat for the TC America powered by Barber Racing School Championship. Located some 8 miles southwest of the Big Easy, NOLA Motorsports Park is a world-class racing facility. 2.75 miles, 16 turns in length. And yesterday we saw this track and these touring cars produce close wheel-to-wheel action across 3 classes within the championship. This is round 4 of the season for TC America, powered by the Barber Racing School. It's a thrill to have you with us. My name is Ryan Marine. Calvin Fish is alongside. Amanda Busick is patrolling the pit lane, which today, Calvin, is a much more enjoyable job because Mother Nature has dealt us a wonderful hand.
It is a pretty day, Ryan, perfect for racing, and we know this racetrack really allows these drivers to go hard at it. Good side-by-side action through all 3 classes yesterday. A little bit of craziness at the finish, but we expect that with this championship as well.
Absolutely, that was the case. A late safety car led to a late restart, and a whole lot of chaos ensued, but it was a lot of fun. That was race 1 of the weekend. Yesterday, we're about to reshuffle the deck and go again here today for the second of 2 races at this excellent facility, which, look, last year we didn't even know we were coming here until a few weeks before that event, and the competitors almost universally have accepted this place. They look forward to coming back, especially for these touring cars. It seems like there's something about this track layout that is really conducive to close competition.
It's a great fit for this championship. I mean, it provides great flow and rhythm to the circuit, some good overtaking opportunities, some wide open expanses where you can't go side by side for 2 or 3 corners in a row. The one caveat to that is very abrasive. So yesterday we saw some interruptions with the race, which gave the tires and the drivers a chance to breathe a little bit. Today, if we get a 40-minute green flag run, that could be a different story.
That's Dai Yoshihara right there. VGRT is the team. Dai in one of the TCX class Hondas. Right behind him, it's a whole host of TCX class BMWs. There's a big smile under the helmet from Adam Gleason. He's loving his racing. Had a good run going yesterday, Calvin, until very late. 3 cars all go off almost simultaneously in the same corner. Not quite sure what caused it, but ultimately that's what brought out the yellow that created such a dramatic finish.
Yeah, Kenny Schmid involved in that down in turn 1 as well. Devin Anderson was wrapped up in it as well at the same time, different class cars. So everyone has to sort of dust themselves off last night, regroup and get ready for the start here. Early in the day, there's Jeff Ricker. What a day he had yesterday. 3rd win on the bounce, starting this season with that new platform.
Yeah, he's been strong to start this 2023 campaign, that's for sure. Track crew getting ready to go to work for the first race of the day here today on a Sunday in New Orleans, where we talk about the 3 classes and how they play together. That usually is a story in this class, managing traffic, and it's one of the reasons why this can be such a good jumping off point. If you want to start a sports car racing career, you come to TC America, you'll learn all about multi-class racing.
Well, typically you're looking forward as to what is my next step in this race. If you're in the 1st or 2nd class on the rungs of the ladder, you can be actually side by side. I'd like to drive that next year. Do you know what I mean? So it's pretty cool.
So many examples of that in this field. Sally McNulty, for instance, making the jump from TCA to TC this year. Christian Pericarpi, very similar. Christian had a good chance to win yesterday. He was caught up in that dramatic finish we've been talking about. Mixed class racing, late in the race, lots of battles going on in different classes all simultaneously. And with that in mind, there was some contact between Christian and a car in a different class that belonged to Joe Catania. That Joe Catania car was heavily damaged. Don't expect him to take the start here today. And frankly, that might have cost Christian a chance to go for the win yesterday, Calvin, because he was alongside Jeff Rica in a drag race to the checkered flag when that contact occurred.
Yeah, he was in great shape there. Unfortunately, the traffic did come together. We saw a big incident with Catania's car, heavily damaged. He walked away from that, fortunately. It was a big impact with that outside wall there coming on the front straightaway. But nonetheless, that is what you will get when you get sort of like that late race coming together, compression of the field. There wasn't time to do a class split either, so you got a variety of speeds all running at the same time.
Cars rolling out for the first of 2 formation laps behind the Toyota GR Supra safety car. Now, there was some drama post-race yesterday. If you watched our coverage of race 1 in TCX, the 2 Hondas in that class finished 1-2. Both were found to have been out of technical regulation for different reasons. And so with that in mind, there was an appeal lodged by one of the two teams. So that's VGRT, Dai Yoshihara. The appeal is still in place there. And as a consequence, he's able to take his starting position pending the result of that appeal, of course, from race 1 yesterday. That's important because in race 1, the fastest lap from that race sets the grid for race 2. Now, on the other side of things, you have the 73 car from the LA Honda World team. They have decided not to appeal, so Kyle Lowe, who won on the road yesterday but did get that penalty, there's that car right there, he will start at the back of the TCX field today. Just one of the several storylines we'll be covering. For some more of those storylines, let's go down to the pit lane and our own Amanda Busick.
Yeah, and Ryan, we almost saw that unfold in real time here on pit lane. When I got up here too, as they got the cars gridded, it was only Dai Yoshihara from the Hondas that were on track at the time. I did see Kyle Lowe join there towards the end. I was able to chat with him just prior to this race, and you know, it's kind of a shame because it's really the drivers that end up suffering here, but he said there's traffic ahead of me. I get to test this skill of mine as well, and he looked locked and loaded and focused. But on to some great storylines that came out of yesterday of however this appeal will go. I saw Maddie at the podium yesterday, just taking in all the celebrations of the people that did make the podium, but she was very happy with her top 5 finish, so keep an look on that BMW. But Spencer Bucknam, he's going to be in that TCA class next to Devin Anderson this morning. He said that I didn't celebrate last night. I wanted to be focused at hand for the race today, and the celebrations can happen tonight if I double up.
Long-awaited first win for Spencer Bucknam in this class yesterday in race 1. He will start second, as Amanda alluded to, in the TCA class. Speaking of starting positions, let's take a look at our starting grid. As mentioned, Dai Yoshihara on the overall pole in the TCX class as well. He'll have Lucas Catania starting alongside, looking for that first career win. He's come close on a number of occasions. Colin Garrett will roll off in the 3rd spot in the second of the BMWs. Adam Gleason starting in the 4th position. Maddie Oust, we heard Amanda reference her. She made her 10 top debut yesterday. She'll start from the 5th spot in the fast track racing entry. And Joe Catania, hopefully he can go. Did see that car was heavily damaged yesterday, but if he can take his grid spot, that would be in P6. And then Kyle Lowe and Kenny Schmid at the back of the TCX field. Then we get to TC, where Jeff Rico won yesterday. He's on pole here today, but Christian Pericarpi gave him a run for his money in that sprint to the checkered flag. Christian rolls off on the outside of the front row in his Mini. Celso Neto started on pole yesterday, faded a bit in the race, but had some good pace. He'll start 3rd in the TC class alongside Clay Williams in the 2nd of the TC class minis. Sally McNulty had a top 5 run yesterday in her Hyundai Elantra from the Gen Racer team, and she'll have Chris Valdez starting alongside back in row number 7. And then Michael Hertzen at the back had a mechanical issue yesterday, did not get to set a representative lap time. He'll have a lot of work to do today. In TCA, on the pole is Devin Anderson, swept the opening round of the season at Sonoma. Both races there he won. Spencer Bucknam, the winner yesterday, will start in the 2nd spot. Will Lambros and PJ Gronke starting 3rd and 4th. Then we get to Xiaoyi Che and Mario Biondo in the 3rd row for the TCA field. Broll and Iglesias will start behind them at the back of the field.
Be curious to see with Kyle Lowe accepting that penalty from yesterday, starting at the back of the field. He showed tremendous pace throughout the course of this weekend, so the Hondas are really fast here. I got a feeling he's going to cut through, and then it's going to be a question of whether he can cash Yoshihara at the front end of this field. But Catania, another runner-up finish, potentially, if those penalties do go down in the books from yesterday, and I'm sure he's looking to go one better today.
No question about it, and it's about to get started, a 40-minute sprint to the checkered flag. But here at this track, more so than any other on the circuit for TC America, you do have to look after those tires, especially if you're in one of the front-wheel drive cars that we have sprinkled throughout the 3 classes. That axle doing a lot of work, steering as well as accelerating, doing a lot of the braking work as well, and taking care of those tires, crucial around an abrasive surface like this one at NOLA Motorsports Park. Lights are off on the safety car, just a couple more corners to go. A chance to collect yourself as a driver and prepare for the battle ahead.
Yeah, very much so. Safety car will peel off here, and then it'll be up to Yoshihara to lead this field to green. You have to wait till the start-finish line before you can make a move, but just trying to time as we get to our VP acceleration zone.
Yoshihara, the Rova Pole Award winner, into the VP acceleration zone, just waiting to go. Catania anxious, you can see him chomping at the bit, waiting for the green flag, and there it is. Yoshihara accelerates away, maybe a little contact there with Catania. Gleason looking aggressive, making it 3 wide on the outside, and keep an eye on Colin Garrett coming to the inside. Then in TC, it's Rika jetting away, side by side for second behind. Yoshihara consolidates his lead, and Gleason sweeps around the outside to grab second as TCA roars into turn 1.
Yeah, Gleason looked like he made a mega move around the outside as they all came down into that brake zone. Here we're looking at Devin Anderson down to the inside. Bucknam to the outside. Does he push it early? No. Likes to tuck in, does he? Now he gets aggressive in turn 2 and grabs the lead.
The winner yesterday forces his way to the front, and Will Lambros is going to follow him through in the Skip Barber Racing School car. Anderson, the pole sitter, drops 2 spots in the first couple of corners, and PJ Gronke in the blue Mini, he wants to go on the attack.
He does. Shea is in the mix there as well in the second of the Subarus.
Lambros now making a bid for the lead. He's to the outside of Bucknam. A couple of identical Honda Civics, but from different teams. LA Honda World up against the Skip Barber School team, and Gronke has spun. There is damage, there is contact. Oh, and it looks like the race may be over just halfway through the opening lap for PJ Gronke.
Elbows out early here in TCA. Looked like Devin Anderson was going to take advantage as they accelerated off of turn 4 and get around Lambros, but Lambros retaliates and get back and goes on the hunt immediately for the lead once again.
For now, we stay green. No word about it. The safety car has been dispatched, but it did look like PJ Gronke might have dropped some fluid due to the damage sustained there. Right now, we're watching the lead in TCA. Now back to the front in Yoshihara, who has been able to pull out a gap over Gleason. Garrett has moved up into the 3rd spot, and he's starting to put some pressure on the rookie.
There's Kyle Lowe there just sitting at the tail end of this pack. Yoshihara gapping the field pretty rapidly here. It's a great start by Gleason. Garrett, just like yesterday, didn't have the best first lap here. Sits there in 3rd spot right now.
Yoshihara leading the field into 1, the former drifting champion in North America. Making the transition to touring car racing, front-wheel drive, something totally new to him, but he has been quick in all 3 races, making all 4 now with the start of this one today.
Here comes Kyle Lowe, looking to the inside of Maddie Oust. Maddie, what a job she did here yesterday, as Amanda talked about. Ecstatic to get that top 5. That could become a podium. Results pending, obviously, with those appeals from yesterday, but certainly a really solid start to her campaign.
Veteran of single-seater racing, running a Formula 4 schedule this year here stateside, but broadening those horizons. Going touring car racing at TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School.
The TC battle, number 7 car, Celso Nato, Clayton Williams there in the Mini, tails away as we head over towards turn 5, 6. You said he had a real shot at grabbing the victory there late, had that big run around the outside as there's big sort of like congestion there through the final corner. Unfortunately, there was a nudge, and that was how Catania got into the outside wall.
Looks like something happened to Christian Pericarpi on that opening lap. He started on the outside of the front row in the TC class and has dropped down to 6th on the opening lap alone. In fact,
13. Really tight final sector through here. You got to be very neat and tidy, very technical. See if Garrett can come alive a little bit. He did certainly through the middle phase of the race yesterday. Very close to Gleason as they come onto that front straightaway.
Looks like Pericarpi might have pulled off the track because he's down behind the whole of the TCA field, and only cars that either had some issues on that first lap or did not take the start are shown behind him. Good battle here, though. Gleason in the Bitcoin car, the Rooster Hall car going to the outside. That is the vice champion of a year ago. Colin Garrett looking to make it work on the outside. This is going to be tight.
This is awesome racecraft here between the 2 protagonists right there. We're looking at Gleason to the inside still. Garrett tries the high line. Catania trying to see if he can take advantage. Kylo as well in that rapid Honda, trying to cut his way through this field before the leader gets too far away. He's taking his time. He's being super patient here.
Gleason forced out wide. Still some puddles around this track from the rain that we had yesterday, which was torrential at time. It looks like Garrett has forced his way through. He's up to second now in TCX. And suddenly Gleason has to defend from Catania and Lowe, who has entered the picture.
Skipping way down the road as Yoshihara. The gap right now is up around 3 seconds.
Oh, that was a little contact there. Xiaoyi Che to the back of Lambros. Meanwhile, Shea's teammate, Anderson, goes around the outside to take that position away.
This has really allowed Bucknam to get a nice, comfortable margin. That was a big moment for Devin Anderson there.
Hopped up over the curb. That left him vulnerable, and Lambros jets right back past.
But look at Bucknam. Look at the gap he's got now.
Did not have the fastest lap of the race in class yesterday. That's why he started second today. But he has loved everything he's seeing out of his rearview mirror. These three fighting it out, costing them lap time, allowing himself to build a massive gap.
Yeah, Bucknam just had the perfect weekend, rolled off the trailer really quick. He got Ryan Eversley here coaching him, working him through that, and getting that first win. It didn't come easy. He took a big knock there, nearly got knocked out of the race yesterday in traffic, but kept it together, got that first win. I think he's a young man with great talent, and I think that confidence is going to build as he starts to maybe start to rack up some wins here.
Anderson closes back in. Interesting to compare and contrast the strengths and weaknesses of these two platforms, the Honda and the Subaru. Throw the Mini in there as well. PJ Gronke had been going very quickly this weekend. However, looks like he is out of the race after that contact back on lap 1. That's a tough pill to swallow. He's been quick all weekend and loves coming down to this racetrack. Look at the lead for Bucknam. It was under a second last lap. It's up to nearly 3 seconds now.
Yeah, those others fighting it out just allowed him to hit his marks and take off now. And now he's just going to try and control this race, I'm sure, manage those tires a little bit. Just look in his rearview mirror, see what they're up to.
Lambros in the 77, just behind him Anderson and Che, the two teammates from Tech Sport Racing. That's the gap, first to second in TCX. Yoshihara now with a 4.5 second lead. Garrett has gone through to second, and you saw Catania taking a look up the inside of Gleason, who right now holds the final podium position in TCX.
Yeah, Yoshihara is absolutely flying. He's almost 2 seconds a lap faster than these BMWs that are giving chase. And he's also a lot faster than Kyle Lowe. So Lowe is kind of handicapped a little bit and stymied with those BMWs that are in front of him. But be curious to see if he can free himself of that pack, what sort of pace he does have. Gleason's loving this racing. Did a really nice job controlling this. Moved down into turn 1 on a previous lap. But look at Catania. That is really dicey there as they get into the brake zone. So easy to have a touch. Catania around the outside. That was nice.
Really, really smooth around the outside. Lucas Catania grabs third place away from Gleason, and his troubles aren't over yet. Little twitch out of that car, and Kyle Lowe looming large out of the rear view.
Well, certainly if you look at balance of performance between the 73 Honda and the BMWs, we've got quite the show going on. But Yoshihara up front, as I said earlier, just tremendous pace once again here today. Looks like the race is his. There we see Jeff Ricker leading TC. He's not far behind these TCX cars.
Pretty amazing, isn't it? Brand new car this year. Jeff learned a lot about this Elantra platform racing in Korea over the off season in a single make championship. Basically the same car, or really it is the same car, just a different name on the nameplate. But took those lessons, came back, built this car for this year, and has won all 3 races so far in the TC class.
Yeah, it's being dominant. He had his wings clipped a little bit, as we mentioned in yesterday's race, so a little less power this weekend. But importantly for him, he said they didn't change the ride height of the car or the weight of the car. So he said that really helped me with tire degradation. He said it should make the car super consistent. He is pretty pumped. He feels he's going to have a really solid weekend, and it's proven to be the case so far.
Back to TCA, and now we jump to Clay Williams in the TC class. Fortunately, Christian Pericarpi has fallen well down the road in the sister TC Spec Mini, but Williams there to carry the torch. He was the full season entrant in this class for the LAP Motorsports team 1 year ago. He's got his hands full at the moment.
Well, he actually got around tornado on this lap. So this is a change of position somewhere on that last lap. He made move last time across the stripe. He was behind him, so it's a really solid run for him once again.
That was a shot at the sister car in the pit lane. Looks like Lowe has made the pass on Gleason, and now Matty Oust has entered the mix, closing in on the back of Gleason.
It's really cool to see these fast track racing machines running close together.
Two teammates, that's right.
Matty Oust, as you said, has single-seater experience, continues to run in Formula 4 this year, so, but she is did a test day with the team. Toby Grahovic is really high on her abilities. Lovely young lady, had a chance to chat with her yesterday, just 18 years old. Her dad is absolutely loving her choice of going racing. She was a great gymnast and cheerleader, and very athletic, and did some testing. Immediately loved it. She said Mum wasn't so sure at first, but now she's got accustomed to it, and I think she said she likes it when I'm in the tin top versus the single seater, maybe a little bit better.
For sure. Well, Toby Grahovic, who runs the fast track racing program, he is really high on her potential and was keen to get her into a race seat. We know we'll see her at Circuit of the Americas, which is a home track for her and for the team. And then we'll see what the schedule holds from there. Now, this is really interesting with Kyle Lowe starting at the back. We've pretty much seen him run at the front all season. This is a new situation for him. He too comes from single seaters. So learning the racecraft in tin tops, but also in a front wheel drive car, which is something he's been adapting to.
Yeah, that's a big transition, but he's certainly done a nice job with it. Sitting there in P4 as he goes side by side down the front straightaway, and Tanya there just hanging on. Luke, as we keep talking about it, 11 podiums last year, 6 runner-up finishes. Had 2 runner-up finishes at Sonoma, another podium yesterday.
Yep. And it might end up being another runner-up depending on how some of these appeals play out. Will do no worse than 3rd, though, yesterday, which would be his worst result of the season. He's been mighty consistent over the course of his career. He only finished off the podium twice all season. I think that 3 times all season last year. And he finished 3rd in the points, did Lucas Catania.
And if you think about last year, I mean, it was all about Jacob Rude and Colin Garrett. They split the victories 50-50 for the season, with Rude just coming out on top, another championship for him. But, you know, for Catania, he's looking there at Garrett as kind of the yardstick outside of the Hondas, and he's a lot closer this year, so I think they've upped their game a little bit.
Been impressed with the patience of Kyle Lowe. 13 minutes or so into this race. Hasn't taken too many risks, but he's been able to make his way forward. This is a little bit more on the risky side, just as I say it. Oh, the contact into Catania. That was right in the wheel well. Hopefully that didn't do any suspension damage to that car.
Yeah, pretty aggressive move, and Catania didn't want to give it up either, so racing incident, and the stewards may look at it, you know, it's just hard racing. There was a touch, but the positions haven't changed. That little shortcut for Catania, I mean, the real key will be whether there's any damage to it, then they might make a different decision, but there you see it, deep into the brake zone. Catania just tries to go side by side there, but Lowe was already committed, and maybe Catania could have given him just a little bit more room to coexist through that corner. Good hard racing as I look at it.
And Matty Oust has forced her way through on her teammate Gleason. Great racing further back in the TCX pack, and here we go.
Wow.
The lead has shrunk and effectively evaporated for Spencer Bucknam. Now he's got Will Lambrose right there on his back bumper, and not far behind, Devin Anderson.
Yeah, that is wild, because he had a massive lead there at one point, so I'm not sure if he's in trouble just managing things or whether the others have a little bit more pace here in race 2, but this is a big compression for the lead here in TCA.
What's interesting is the previous lap was Bucknam's best, but it was still several tenths slower than the chasing cars. He just ran a 55.9, and the 2 cars behind him ran basically identical times. I think that's because they had caught him on that lap. So definitely there is pace in the Lambrose car. There is pace in the Anderson car. Bucknam is going to have his hands full for the next 25 minutes and change.
Yeah, look at Lambrose as well. He didn't really want to tuck into the draft there of Bucknam coming down this front straightaway, trying to keep that clean air to the front end of that Honda. So management is key. I mean, it's early in the day here, so the temperatures aren't soaring like we saw here on Friday in the mid-80s, probably the hottest day that we've had in terms of racing days this year so far, but this is going to be a good battle.
And Will was runner-up yesterday. That was his first podium of his TC America career. Finished 5th and 6th in the first 2 races of the season.
He's not afraid to use up those curbs.
No.
It's on 2 wheels more than he is 4.
Xiao Yiche just a little bit behind, but not too far back in the second Tech Sports Subaru.
Anderson just sitting there watching.
Yes.
Fun part of the racetrack. Got much of the curbs they are right on top of them, just hugging those, just trying to keep the car hooked into the apex a little bit longer. Bugged them there a little bit wide. Ambro's car looks good. Just seems like that through the first phase of the corner he may be a little bit sharper. You have to have such discipline through it here. You can't afford to overdrive this sector. Good clean run onto that front straightaway is what you're looking for.
Crucial turn 16 leading into the long drag strip of a front straightaway. This long run down to turn number 1.
What Ambrose does here, he went to the middle of the road last time, like he's trying to get here, and does the same thing. You can see he's just kind of 1 lane over. Then he tucks back into as they get into the brake zone, getting back online once again.
Saw those brake lights flash as well just a little before the braking zone. Is that just to reset the pads, especially if you've been going over those curbs like he has?
Yeah, sometimes you get some pad knockoff. If you're going over the bumps, it kind of rattles the rotors and everything and knocks the pads back a little bit. So when you initially go to that brake pedal application, the pedal goes down a little bit further, so you just kind of bring them up. You don't want to drag the brakes and lose any speed at the end of the straightaways, but it just gives you a more solid pedal when you do need it. Maybe they're finding just using that big curb that they have through turn 16 just gives you that motion within the brake setup.
I think Anderson has been back. Oh, wow,
big
Lambros.
twitch.
And I think he got into one of those puddles.
Yeah,
you
he
saw
did.
that jet of spray come up. Should mention, if you weren't with us for Fanatec GT yesterday, that race was delayed because we had so much rain around the circuit, standing water that had to be cleared, and you can see just how saturated this track has become due to the rain yesterday. Good news is the forecast looks favorable here today. Back to this. 2 teammates, Fast Track Racing. Gleason had that wonderful start to get up to, I think, 2nd in class for a time.
He did, yeah.
He's faded a little bit since then, but he is very, very new to wheel-to-wheel racing.
He is, but he's got a solid piece underneath him.
Yes.
This is Jacob Rude's car that he won the championship with the last couple of seasons, so it's got good pedigree.
Right now, chance to follow in the tire tracks of his teammate, Matty Oust. Fighting for 5th and 6th in TCX, and Jeff Rika keeping pace with these two in that Elantra NTC, just behind the leader in the TC class. Talking to several of the touring car drivers up and down the paddock, this section here through the S's, many of them, maybe not in TCX, but in some of the other classes, they could do the S's full throttle for the first 4 or 5 laps on new tires, but then the tires start to fall off, and it becomes a much more difficult challenge, which requires some precision.
Yeah, and you're waiting for that moment. You keep pushing and pushing, and then just that little bit of grip goes away, and then you just got to really manage it. You kind of try and drive through that. That's where you're going to get that tire degradation. It's just going to get worse and worse. So just really being smart about how much speed you carry once those tires start to go off just that little bit.
So we were wondering, what would Kyle Lowe do if he got through the traffic and get clean air? Well, he just turned his best lap of the race, and it was a half-second quicker than the race leader Yoshihara. He's got a 4.5-second gap to overcome, but he's got the pace to do it.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, once he's, I thought, well, maybe they're running slightly different specs. So there's 2 different technical infractions yesterday in the race. I'm thinking, well, maybe the 73 car has corrected this and they've lost a bit of pace. Not the case at all, because he's now set the fastest lap of the race. So 4/10 quicker than Yoshihara, and he now sits, what, 4.5 seconds back with 20 minutes left in this race. Maybe that was his plan all along, be super patient, get to the halfway point, and then go try and chase him down.
Who has tires left to fight with in the final 10 minutes? I think that could be the question. Was Yoshihara pushing too hard early? Did Kyle burn up his tires working through the traffic? There are a lot of unanswered questions, but we're only at the halfway mark. Plenty of time to get our answers here with 20 minutes and 7 seconds to go in race 2 of the weekend, race 4 of the season for TC America, powered by the Skip Barber Racing School. Back to the fight for 3rd and 4th in TCX. Garrett has it. Catania wants it. And we've seen these two duke it out a couple of times over the past few seasons.
Yeah, and Catania's really regrouped here. He got that little nudge there low. We haven't seen anything come up from the stewards about any potential penalty for that. I think it was just fair play, hard racing. As we can see, Catania's still got pace in his race car, so I don't think it was affected at all. And he's now chased down. I think at this point, when you got the two different manufacturers, it's going to be horses for courses. It seems like the Honda is the car to have here. So for Catania, I think his main focus is, can I be the best BMW in this field and grab that final podium spot?
A few laps ago, we mentioned that Clay Williams had made the pass on Celso Neto, but Celso hanging right there. Young Brazilian driver keeping pace with Clay Williams in the Mini. This is 2nd and 3rd in TC.
The top three, even though Rick is leading, got a healthy margin up about 3.5 seconds. I mean, his fastest lap is just a few hundredths quicker than Clay Williams and only a couple of tenths quicker than Neto. So pretty evenly matched pace in the TC field right now.
Spectacular shots of these cars up over the curbs, sometimes bicycling it up on 2 wheels.
That helps the tire wear.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a strategy to that.
Sure. You ever do much front-wheel drive racing?
Not a lot. I did when I was running the Mid-Ohio school. We had front-wheel drive Hondas there, of course, so did many thousands of laps around Mid-Ohio with a front-wheel drive car, but never raced one.
Celso Neto, who's chasing Clay Williams right now, comes from a touring car background in Brazil. That's his native country. Raced in stock car Brazil a couple of times last year. Won a championship in a Brazilian touring car series within his class last year as well. And back in 2018 became the youngest ever podium finisher in Brazilian touring car championship history. He was 18 years old at the time. So he does have a pedigree.
Battle for TCA is heating up. The Hondas have escaped the attentions of Devin Anderson for now. Tell you what, Lambros has got pace here today. I'm not sure if they tweaked on his Honda last night, but he is putting the pressure on big time over yesterday's winner, Bucknam.
Yeah, this is a great duel. Equal cars, 2 different teams, so potentially different setup philosophies there. LA Honda World and the Skip Barber Racing School team, 2 operations that have emerged as absolute stalwarts of this championship.
LA Honda World team really do a great job. Mario Biondo has had a solid weekend himself. And we talked about Ryan Eversley working with young Spencer Bucknam here. He's also working with Mario. He said, Mario's like a mentor to me as a life coach and a business coach in terms of the big picture of Ryan Eversley. But in terms of driving, he said, I've really got Mario to focus. And Mario was so pumped up when I saw him here on Friday. He said, now, as Ryan said to me, now you're going to be able to go race instead of go drive. And it's a bit, I related to my golf. You know what I mean? I'm so often just thinking about the mechanical side of the swing rather than playing the golf course. And I think Mario's now at that point with his driving as well.
Sure. Well, you saw what it meant to him to see Spencer win yesterday. He came helmet on, sprinting into the interview to give Spencer a big hug of congratulations for that breakthrough win.
Yeah, because Spencer's got an amazing talent and skill set, but, you know, he's not well heeled. So, you know, getting the support from guys like Mario and the partners that he does have on board is so important to keep his career and keep the momentum going.
Ultimately, that momentum petered out at the end of the season last year. He ran the first 8 races, but did not contest the final 6. Still finished 6th in points, though, by virtue of the strong runs he had prior to his season coming to a premature end.
3rd generation driver. I knew his dad, Jeff. Did a little bit of IndyCar stuff himself, and obviously Spencer's grandfather. Great Honda heritage there.
Ronnie Bucknam, indeed. This has not gone anywhere, has it? Matty Oust runs 5th. That's the orange hooded car. And the Bitcoin sponsor, number 21, that is Gleason. Teammates running lockstep for the last 10 minutes or so.
Oh, deep around the outside. Matty's just going to try and tuck in here. Gleason, he's going to get the power done. That was a mega move.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Just sent it and got the grip on the outside of turn 3 there.
These are two drivers that are gaining confidence by the lap. They are banking away knowledge at a rapid rate because this is all very new to both of them. Matty might have more time behind the wheel in various competitions, but not in a car like this. And for Gleason, this is just his 4th professional race and basically his 4th race ever. Barring a few little odds and ends that he's done in preparation for this.
Yeah, and half of the tracks that we go to, he doesn't know. He's never been to Sonoma, never been here before. So I think when we get to some of the circuits that he has a bit more track knowledge, that's just going to step up his game even further. But he is just loving this opportunity. He and his wife, Mandy, went to a race school back in 2021, and she is all in as well. She's got a big smile on her face as well, supporting her husband here. Catania keeping the pressure here on Colin Garrett. This is the battle for the final podium position in TCX we're looking at coming on the front straightaway.
Well, Garrett is feeling some pressure there. Interesting. Back and forth, not picking a line. What do you think of that?
I don't know. I mean, they're equally matched cars. Certainly the draft effect is somewhat more minimal in these TCX machines than some of the bigger silhouette cars, but nonetheless, certainly an indication to me that Colin Garrett is feeling the pressure and wants to try and hang on to that podium run and being the first BMW in this field. But for Catania, he just keeps delivering, just so solid, so consistent, week in, week out. His time will surely come, you'd think, for that breakthrough win this season.
Let's hear more about the Adam Gleason story with Amanda.
Well, you guys were talking about Adam Gleason and coming into this paddock. One of the things I like is just the synergy that's been within this team in fast track racing. They actually have merchandise that is going to make its way into COTA, and it simply says, "Your touring car heartthrob."
Yep, that's how Adam's been billing himself, or at least his wife's been billing him. It's a fun pairing. They have a lot of fun at the racetrack, that's for sure. And, certainly welcome addition to the paddock. By the way, at the front, we were just watching 3rd and 4th in TCX. Kyle Lowe continues to make inroads. The lead's down to 2.8 seconds, but starting to run out of time at this point.
Yeah, it's going to get tight. I got a feeling he's going to be right there in the last lap or two of this race. So what is Yoshihara doing? Is he pushing and using up his tires? Is Kyle Lowe's approaching the first phase of this race, give him an advantage that will get even better towards the finish?
I just found
Wants
another
to play out here.
half second on the last lap, so I said it was 2.8. It's now 2.1. I think there could be some traffic as well coming into the mix.
Yeah, that margin, that advantage seems to be just shy of half a second a lap, so there's enough time on the board here for him to get to the tail. Then passing is obviously a different story.
Firmly in control in TC is Jeff Rica, and that was how his race was going yesterday until the late yellow reset everything and gave a couple of different drivers a chance to go for it late in the race. Ultimately, he did prevail, but it was a tight run thing.
It was. I mean, he was trying to be circumspect, I think, in traffic there coming through the final corner. He elected to go to the inside, got stymied with his momentum, and Clay Williams had that run around the outside, but kind of all compressed there and got a little bit ugly, and unfortunately for Joseph Catania, his car got turned into the outside wall, and Ricker escaped to grab that 3rd win of the season.
Some smoke coming out of the car just ahead. I don't know if that was brake smoke or something more nefarious.
Williams there now in the 3rd spot. Neto has got around and escaped him by about 4 seconds.
Wonder if there's more to that story. This scrap continues, and for Garrett, Finished second in the championship last year by just 2
Woo!
points.
He pushed big time through there. That may be a little bit of tire deck that we're looking at right then. Just really sent it through the S's car, got a little bit sideways, nearly caught him out as he tried to correct the slide there. Really high speed through those S's for these cars. And Catania's going to like what he saw there. He's going to feel that maybe Garrett is vulnerable here in the last 10 minutes of this race.
As the trailing driver, how do you take advantage of that when you see the weakness in the car in front?
Well, you just got to keep the pressure on and hope that that tire deck situation, if that's what he's running into, could just be an imbalance in the car at this phase of the race. But nonetheless, he's going to like that he sees that Garrett is vulnerable here. Garrett's also weaving around there, so that's an indicator to Lucas Catania that he knows I'm here and he's feeling that pressure. Will he make that little slip?
Garrett is a former stock car driver. He has made starts at places like Daytona and Talladega. He knows how to work that draft, and you saw it on full display.
I think Catania's car looks a little bit better. You can see him probing, thinking about, should I make a move? How aggressive do I want to get here? When do I send it? Garrett won't be afraid to get his elbows out as well, based on his previous race experience.
Here's Yoshihara working his way through TCA traffic, and there is Lowe in the same camera shot for the first time today.
Yeah, big time. Not sure if Yoshihara got bottled up in traffic, but even so, Lowe is arriving in a hurry here.
That's to the inside of Lambros. Lambros running second in TCA.
Looks like the approach and the discipline has been perfect to this phase. Obviously, he needs those 8 minutes to stay green flag to try and chase down the leader and go for the lead. What discipline. Just really didn't force the issue at all, trying to get through that gaggle of BMWs in the first half of this race.
As good as Kyle has looked in his wins, had the win at Sonoma, won on the road yesterday. To me, this is the most impressive drive we've seen out of him in his young career. The way he worked through the traffic, the patience he exhibited by and large, the incident with Lucas Catania notwithstanding, to get through it and still have something to fight with here come the end of the race. That's the mark of a pretty mature racing driver.
Yeah, and it's all part of the learning curve, right? So he could have maybe started from the pole and just taken off and grabbed another win, but with the penalty from yesterday, fast lap didn't count, starts from the back of the field, and he just really had to manage this one. So this, if he can pull it off, it would be amazing. But even if he has a solid P2 run here, still a great day and a big chunk of learning got done here in these circumstances.
And from a championship perspective, even a second place finish would be big. Yoshihara had no results to speak of at Sonoma, so he's not really in the championship conversation right now. Had a good result yesterday, but again, that's pending this appeal. So depending on how that goes, if you could stack a couple podiums here and perhaps even end up with a win, with the way that this season has played out so far, the BMW's not quite being able to contend on a regular basis yet with the Hondas. That puts Kyle potentially in a very solid position thinking championship.
Yeah, it really does, and I think the only thing that may force him a little bit if he gets close to Yoshihara and go for it, right now Garrett has the championship lead. He sits one position back, it's only a 3-point swing, so he'd love to extend that up to a 10-point swing. So it's a big delta in points between first and second, 25 to 18 for second.
Right, and it's 15 for third, so to your point, getting around, getting that lead, getting those extra points would make a big difference relative to Garrett, who has done a good job maximizing his results this year. Hasn't had necessarily the outright pace that we saw from him at times a season ago, but he does have the one win, and he's been doing his best to get good results when they're available.
Yeah, I would say results are solid in terms of looking at his performance compared to the others. So have the others up their game, or have they not quite found the sweet spot with the setup for this 2023 season? But nonetheless, he's still scoring. Had the victory at Sonoma, potentially a win yesterday, penalties depending, of course, but he's maximizing what he's got with him, and we saw him yesterday. Didn't have a great first lap, for example. We didn't see that last year. He was always up on the wheel, and but nonetheless, he's scoring big points week in, week out.
This is the overall leader, Dai Yoshihara, a native of Tokyo, but he's been living in Southern California for nearly 2 decades. He's been controlling this race from the front and found a little pace on that last lap, was marginally quicker than Kyle Lowe, and has built that margin back to nearly 2 seconds.
Yeah. So, did he manage things? He said, you know, I've got the pace, I've got the lead, I got the pole position. Based on Lowe having to start from the back, it's taken off, and seems like he's still got a little bit left in his race car to defend with.
One thing that strikes me, Dye coming from a drifting background, you kind of expect a certain panache in the driving style, but he seems very measured, doesn't he?
He does. He's obviously got great car control should he need it, but he recognizes with this form of racing you have to be very disciplined, keep the tire in the car under the He just gets super tight, he just really carves through these corners. Watch his approach through here. If he does it the same, he's been doing it all race, just textbook.
Remarkably, he just had his best lap of the race. However, Lowe was actually a little bit quicker, did find another 2/10 in this duel. But Yoshihara has preserved something to fight with if he can still put up personal best lap times this deep into the race.
Yeah, I think if he hits his marks and doesn't make a big mistake, he's got enough of a margin, even if Lowe has a bit more pace, because time is running out.
Under 5 minutes to go. The number of laps remaining really depends on where Yoshihara is when the clock runs out.
The overall squeal there from the cameras. Tire squeal, then a pause, had to wait before he get committed back to the power.
That team he drives for, VGRT Racing Team, proudly Puerto Rican, but working out of a base in Florida. That area, I understand, might be going through some severe weather right now. Thinking about them, I'm sure they're doing their best to stay focused on the task at hand, which is exactly what Colin Garrett has been able to do. Despite this pressure from Catania, he has not cracked.
He hasn't, but Catania's keeping the pressure right there. I feel his car's a little bit better. Lucas is doing a really solid job behind the wheel, but his car is looking awesome this season.
It has.
See there that Garrett's car is just using up a little bit more of the road. He's really pushing things there through the middle part of the S's, turns 10 and 11. Oh, little slide there. It's the first time I've really seen Catania's car sliding too much.
For Garrett, it's the Rooster Hall team that has run to so many championships in touring car racing here in North America. Oh, and we understand there's a mechanical issue for the leader. Dai Yoshihara is off the pace. Something has gone amiss, and that has allowed Kyle Lowe to sweep through and take the lead.
Yeah. Well, he's back up on it again, though, so I'm not sure if it's some technical issue shut down momentarily or if he's just lost something through one sector of the race. Just take a look here. Down into turn 1. You just suddenly lose power right there.
Huh.
If he's lost one of the gears or something, because he's got pace right now. It's a strange one.
Gearbox was the problem at Sonoma, but talking to Victor Gonzalez, he said the part that they had an issue with there is normally bulletproof. They had never heard, no one had ever heard of it failing before, and no one had any spares as a consequence. They don't travel with that part. So I'm not sure if it's the same or a different affliction. It really doesn't matter. The end result is that Kyle Lowe has come through to take the lead and should be taking the white flag this time by. From the back of the pack all the way to the front, can Kyle Lowe get the job done? He just has 2 3/4 miles to go.
There's a Honda 1-2 on the road yesterday. We're looking at the same thing. If Yoshihara's car could survive one more lap here without further technical difficulties, Lowe managed this race perfectly, but I don't think he had enough to get the lead without that momentary pause of acceleration for Yoshihara there as he came off turn 2 on the previous lap.
Yoshihara does have a wide margin that he can nurse this car home. I think it was around 20 seconds just a couple laps ago back to this battle.
Wow.
Plus, Garrett's got his hands full anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, he's going to have to stick it in the
Here
middle of
we go.
the track.
Here we go.
Catania to the inside. Who's going to be last of the late breakers? Up the inside comes Catania, and Garrett has no recourse. Catania closes him off. Now Garrett trying to make the long way around work. Both cars on the edge of adhesion. Here comes Garrett fighting back. Now he'll have the inside.
Great respect there by Catania. Really pinched his hands a little bit to give each other a little bit of racing room. They accelerated through turn 2. Garrett going to try and go the long way around. He's going to tuck it back to the inside. That could grab him that position back. Awesome racing here between these two.
Giving each other just enough room. Just one lap to go for the final step of the podium in TCX. Garrett clinging to it for everything he's got.
Big respect there between the two drivers. Nice to see.
Two drivers that know each other well. They sparred several times throughout the year. In 2022, that's carried over to 2023. A newcomer in 2023 is Kyle Lowe for the LA Honda World team. He comes from the back of the pack to claim the win in race 2 of the weekend at NOLA Motorsports Park. Kyle Lowe takes the checkered flag first. Yoshihara still limping around. He had 29 seconds in hand at the start of the final lap over Garrett and Catania. Now we jump in on the TCA class car from LA Honda World, and Spencer Bucknam, he had to wait a long time to get that first win. Only has to wait 24 hours for the second. Yoshihara limping across the line.
Is he shy of the line?
He is for now. Bucknam to the stripe. Garrett comes through in TCX to take second. Catania takes third. Yoshihara will grind to a halt just shy of the line, and here comes the rest of the TCX field. Heartbreak for the Japanese Drift King.
Wow. Losing a couple of spots right there in the final yards of the lap.
So Bucknam got the win in TCA. Lambros finishes second. Anderson another podium. He finishes third. And in the TC class, it belongs once again to Jeff Rica. A perfect 4 for 4 to start 2023.
Yeah, pretty unstoppable. Great performance. Car is working really well. Jeff's an ace driver as well. Really works hard. I mean, they had to change the motor overnight Friday to get that victory yesterday. So a hard-working crew, and rewarded with the sweep of the weekend.
Celso Neto comes home second. Clay Williams is third. Sally McNulty backs up her 5th place finish yesterday to come home 4th. Report from the pits, it might be fuel pickup, the issue that cost Dai Yoshihara 2nd place.
Wow, I wonder if he's just a little bit light, had a pickup issue coming through turn 2, and ultimately was just running out.
Man.
Sometimes, you know, you got to be careful. You have a race yesterday. I mean, you don't want to put more fuel in the car than you need to, and maybe they just based their sums off a race yesterday where there was some interruption. You go green flag, that could make the difference.
That's a good point. It was green to checkers today. That does change the calculation a little bit. So I'll look at Spencer Bucknam's car once again. Back-to-back wins in TCA. This will jumpstart that championship bid. And everyone is chasing Jeff Rica in TC. They had their wings clipped a little bit after the Sonoma round from a BOP perspective, and still Jeff comes out and sweeps the weekend. It was closer, though, that's for sure. And yesterday in particular, it was a really tight finish.
Solid run for Sally McNulty.
Yeah.
Bought another Gen Racer machine, finishing P4. She gets used to left foot brake. We documented that yesterday. First time that she's raced that way. Been practicing on the street, so a solid day for her.
Might be a career best finish for Sally McNulty in TC America across multiple classes. It is her best in the TC class, that's for sure. These are the provisional results. Kyle Lowe comes from the back to take the win. Colin Garrett again maximizing his results on a day when the BMW couldn't quite go toe-to-toe with the Honda. Comes home second, but Lucas Catania made him fight for it.
He really did. That was a fantastic battle there when they went side by side. We talked about this racetrack allows you to do that.
And for Catania, that incredible run of podiums continues. He had 11 last year. He's added 4 this year, so that's 15 dating back to the start of the season last year, but still looking for that first win. Here are the results specifically in the TCA class where Spencer Bucknam has won again. Lambros back-to-back runner-up results. He's new to the championship, didn't have a whole lot of info on him coming into Sonoma where he had quiet but maybe unspectacular results there. But 2 runner-up finishes this weekend, and he's going to be one to keep an eye on.
It's going to be fun. We thought it was going to be the Bucknam and Anderson show for the championship, but Lambros has certainly shown his intentions of pace here this weekend.
No question about it. Graduate of the single-seater racing series from the Skip Barber School. Here we look at the TC results. Rika, Neto, Williams, 1, 2, and 3. Hyundai, Honda, and Mini. 3 different manufacturers in the top 3 and 4 different platforms when you factor in the Elantra, the 2 different versions of Hyundai, I should say, for the 2 Gin Racer machines in this field. So great stuff within the TC class. Can't wait to hear from our race winners. And there is Kyle Lowe. He got to celebrate a victory yesterday. Ultimately, that penalty cost it as far as the record books are concerned. But he had to earn this one coming from the very back of the field. And there is the elation on his face. Kyle Lowe giving the car a big smooch. And it delivered today. Gloves come off. Helmet will soon follow. And there's Ryan Eversley, who's been coaching this young man. And you can see.
Big day for that team.
It was.
Double win again.
That's right. Same as yesterday. Mario Biondo and company will be thrilled.
That was well managed. I'd have to say the victory without the technical issue may not have been his way, but nonetheless, victory lane once again.
Let's hear from him now with Amanda.
Kyle, I spoke to you just briefly before the race at hand, and you were pretty stoic inside of your car as you plotted what you needed to do here today. The penalty aside, you were able to drive through this field today. How did you keep yourself centered?
Yeah, I got the news this morning that I was starting in the back, and I practiced for this. I play Gran Turismo all the time, and I start in the back in these online races. So it's not a rare situation that I put myself in. And yeah, throughout the race, you know, I made the move on Lucas, and I just felt so bad, and I gave him the spot back immediately. I hope we can be friends after this, but I'll go and apologize to him about it later. Yeah, just super excited for the team, really. We had all the obstacles thrown at us. I'm just so excited to be here. And yeah, this whole weekend has been a dream come true, so super, super happy.
Well done, Kyle.
Thank you.
And to a guy that we know is going to be celebrating tonight. Spencer, you told me that you didn't even do anything last night just to prepare for today. When you recap this weekend for yourself, what will come to mind?
Just how special it was, you know. I mean, first win and then backing it up today, and yeah, there he is. Come on. So happy to get it for LA Honda World and HPD. Those guys work so hard. Beezer Family Vineyards and Blue Marble Cocktails. I mean, such a great points weekend, and I just hope we can keep this going to Dakota. This was awesome.
Congratulations, Spencer. And then lastly, in the TC race, it is Jeff Rika that is victorious yet again, but we know that you're missing COTA. You're going to head overseas. How hard is it going to be watching what's going to unfold in COTA?
Yeah, I'm going to have my phone going at the same time, being at the 24-hour, just watching the results. Hats off to my team. I mean, flawless. I mean, we had so much work to do, doing some overnighters. They just bring me a great car, and it was, you know, something that's very special to me and to my family. I love Hyundai USA. Thank you for the help. Liqui Moly USA, those guys that helped me be here. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Good luck at the Nürburgring. We'll see you at VIR.
Yes, thank you.
And he brings up a great point. That team did an engine change overnight leading into race 1 yesterday. They still got the win, and now they sweep the weekend. Has him in a great points position, but we won't see him at COTA as he contests the Nürburgring 24. Highlights of race 2 here today. Battles all throughout this field. TCA was awesome from the start of the race. This, though, not awesome for PJ Gronke.
Yeah, he showed a lot of pace here this weekend, so he'll be disappointed. Great battle here. Honda down at the inside on Gleason. And Matty House, what a run she had today aboard the 09 Fast Track BMW.
The story of the day, though, was Kyle Lowe knifing through the field with precision. This was the one little sign of inexperience, I think it's safe to say.
Yeah, just forced it a little bit. Catania didn't want to give it up. No harm, no foul.
Late in the race, Yoshihara, the leader overall, sputters and stalls out, sweeping past to take the lead and the win. Kyle Lowe from LA Honda World. Ultimately, Yoshihara comes across the line, but the rest of the TCX class came through first. In TC, it was Jeff Rica picking up the win, and Spencer Bucknam, a sweep of the weekend in TCA. Fun weekend of racing here at NOLA Motorsports Park. It is a perfect fit, it seems, for these touring cars. Up next is a trip to Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. Hope you join us for that.